"Excuse me," the voice sharp and entitled, sliced through the already chaotic din of the Costco food court. I just tossed my tray, pretty pleased with myself for finishing my hot dog and soda before the after-lunch rush really hit. I was already halfway out the door, eager to escape, when I heard it again, louder this time. "Hey, I'm talking to you!" I paused, annoyed. I spun around, fully expecting to see someone I knew, or maybe a forgotten shopping cart. Instead, my eyes locked onto her. She was a woman in her late 40s or early 50s with a face that looked permanently set in a manager-demanding grimace, and arms already crossed like she was preparing for an inquisition. She was staring directly at me, and I couldn't, for the life of me, figure out why. "Yes?" I asked, trying to keep my voice neutral, though a tiny flicker of irritation was already sparking. My brain was still processing the abrupt halt to my escape plan. Her eyes narrowed. "I want you to wipe that table clean." She jabbed a finger, long and accusatory, at a nearby table that actually looked perfectly fine. "It's disgusting, and don't give me that blank stare, you know what I'm talking about." My jaw almost hit the floor. Seriously, I wasn't wearing a uniform. I wasn't even carrying a clipboard. I was in my favorite. Slightly faded eat, sleep, game, repeat t-shirt and cargo shorts. I blinked, trying to process this bizarre demand. Ma'am? I don't work here. I'm just a customer, same as you." Her face, already scrunched, tightened further, as if my words were a personal insult. "Don't you lie to me! I saw you near the food counter. You're clearly trying to get out of doing your job. Now get over there and clean that mess you've made, or I'm getting your manager." Her finger, still pointing, now wobbled with indignant rage. "My mess? I'd meticulously cleaned my own mess, thank you very much." By now, the entire food court had gone eerily quiet. Conversations died down. People were pretending to chew slowly, but their eyes, I swear, were glued to us. A few snickers erupted from a group of teenagers who were clearly enjoying the show. My face flushed hot. Part of me wanted to just walk away, pretend this bizarre encounter wasn't happening, that I hadn't suddenly become the star of the Karen's Tantrum reality show. Another part, the slightly petty, increasingly annoyed part, wanted to stand my ground. Who was this woman? And what gave her the right to yell at a complete stranger like this? She was practically vibrating with self-righteous fury, demanding to know where my name tag was, threatening to report me to Costco corporate for insubordination, for rudeness to a paying customer. Her voice was getting louder, piercing the silence, making my ears ache. And that's when it hit me. Not some grand epiphany, just a sudden, exasperated thought. My brain, bless its exhausted, overstimulated self, conjured up a classic retort I'd seen online, one designed for exactly this brand of public insanity. I leaned in a little, a mischievous glint probably dancing in my eyes, and delivered it. Clear, calm, cutting. "Ma'am," I said, making sure to project my voice just enough for the surrounding audience. "Do I look like your husband?" The effect was instantaneous, like someone had hit the mute button on a particularly grating infomercial. Her mouth, mid-rant, snapped shut. Her eyes, wide with shock, blinked rapidly. All the air seemed to drain from her sails. She actually stumbled back a step, completely speechless. The entire food court held its breath. It was beautiful. She finally let out a frustrated, sputtering huff, a sound like a deflating tire. She spun on her heel, muttered something incoherent under her breath about unprofessionalism, and stomped away, disappearing into the crowded aisles. The food court, which had been holding its breath, erupted. Not necessarily applause, but relieved chuckles, a few knowing nods, and one guy at a nearby table actually gave me a full-on thumbs up. I grinned, feeling a weird mix of triumph and absolute exhaustion. Some battles, I guess, you just gotta fight. Walking out of Costco, the afternoon sun felt like a cleanse. You know, sometimes you just run into people who think the world owes them a permanent butler or maybe a punching bag. And sometimes you gotta remind them that the only person truly responsible for wiping their table clean or their own self-entitled attitude is them, or maybe their actual husband. Anyway, that's my tale for today. Stay sane out there, folks. And for the love of all that's good, don't be a Karen.
You've survived 2 Reddit roller coasters. Might as well subscribe before the third wrecks you emotionally.
"Excuse me, sir? Can I help you with that?" I swear the cashier at ShopRite looked at me like I was the second coming of Christ. No, scratch that. More like I was the CEO, the regional manager, and possibly the guy who invented sliced bread, all rolled into one. I just wanted to buy some damn milk. This was my Tuesday, apparently. Let me back up. I'm Cameron, 35, and usually my biggest claim to fame is a killer lasagna recipe. But today has been weird. It started this morning at my actual job. I work in accounting, about as far from a people person role as you can get, yet two different colleagues, people I'd barely exchanged pleasantries with before, came up to me. First, Brenda from HR, usually a walking frost cloud, actually smiled. Cameron, quick question. Can you sign off on these expense reports? Mark's usually here, but you're covering him today, right? My brain buffered. No, Brenda. I'm not covering Mark. I'm just Cam. She just waved a dismissive hand. Oh, you're too modest. Just sign it. Saves me a trip. She practically shoved the clipboard into my hands. Before I could properly object, she was gone. Then, just as I was trying to figure out if I'd accidentally gotten a promotion I hadn't been informed about, Dave from IT ambled over. Hey boss, quick one for ya. We're having trouble with the new server rack. Mind taking a look? Your expertise would be invaluable. Dave, I'm an accountant. I balance ledgers, not troubleshoot servers. He just chuckled, a patronizing sound, right, playing it cool. Well, if you happen to wander by, give us a shout. It was bizarre, a strange undercurrent of deference that wasn't usually directed my way. I mean, I'm a nice guy, middle class, decent haircut, but certainly not radiating authority figure vibes. I shook it off, attributing it to a collective office brain fart. Little did I know, that was just the appetizer. The main course was ShopRite. I'd grabbed my groceries, nothing fancy. Milk, bread, some frozen peas for dinner. As I headed to the self-checkout, a young stalker, maybe 19, practically jumped in front of me. Sir, please, allow me. He grabbed my basket. You shouldn't have to push this yourself. I stammered, oh, it's fine, really. I can handle it. But he was already ushering me to a manned lane, the express one, no less. No, sir, it's our pleasure. The cashier, a friendly woman named Linda, I saw her name tag, gave me a dazzling smile. Welcome, sir. Everything okay today? She scanned my items with a practice speed I'd never seen her employ with anyone else. The kid who'd taken my basket was bagging everything meticulously, even separating my milk from my peas. Yeah, everything's great, I mumbled, my confusion mounting. I felt like I was in some kind of bizarre hidden camera show. Did I win a contest I didn't enter? Suddenly, another employee, an older woman with a manager's vest, walked over. Mr. Peterson, she exclaimed, her voice a little too loud. So glad you could visit us today. Is everything to your satisfaction? I'm not Mr. Peterson, I corrected gently, pulling out my wallet. I'm Cameron. Her smile faltered for a microsecond. Oh, right, of course. You must be new to the district. We're just so excited to have you. She beamed, then leaned in conspiratorially. I've been telling everyone how good the new initiatives are. A small crowd had started to gather. I noticed a few other employees giving me curious, almost reverent glances. It was like they were all trying to place me, convinced they knew me from somewhere important but couldn't quite pinpoint it. Whispers started, is that the new VP? Regional director for sure? My heart started to pound. This wasn't just a misidentification, it was a full-blown charade. I just wanted my milk. Look, I said, trying to be firm but polite, I'm just a regular customer. I don't work here. I'm not a VP or a director or anyone important. The manager chuckled, a nervous, patronizing sound. Oh, you're such a joker, mister. Cameron, just getting to know the staff, I see. Very hands-on. I like that. Just then, a shrill voice cut through the air. Finally, someone with authority. I turned to see a woman in her late 50s, early 60s storming towards us. She had a severe haircut, a scowl etched onto her face, and was clutching a wilted head of lettuce. She was the quintessential Karen, and she was making a beeline for me. You, she screeched, pointing a finger at my chest. I've been waiting for someone to help me for 20 minutes. These incompetent buffoons, she gestured wildly at the now frozen in-place staff, won't tell me where the organic quinoa is. And this lettuce is rotten, she thrust the offending vegetable under my nose. It did indeed look rather sad. Ma'am, I began, trying to sound calm. I actually don't. Don't you ma'am me, she interrupted, her voice rising. I know who you are. I saw them treating you like you're royalty. You're clearly in charge here. Now, are you going to get me my quinoa and replace this garbage? Or am I going to have to call corporate and tell them the new district manager is completely useless? My jaw dropped. New district manager? Ah, that explained it. All those nods and winks. The employees, bless their cotton socks, were still standing there, looking at me expectantly, as if waiting for me to solve Karen's problem with a wave of my executive hand. My own pleas of "I don't work here" had only been interpreted as humble attempts to blend in or observe. "Ma'am, I'm not the district manager," I said, a little louder, a little more exasperated. "I'm Cameron. I just came in to buy some groceries. I don't work here, at all." The manager, who'd been hovering nearby, finally seemed to catch on. Her eyes, wide with sudden realization, flickered from me to Karen, then to the wilting lettuce. The young stalker's jaw dropped. Linda, the cashier, gasped audibly. Karen, however, was impervious. "Don't you lie to me. I saw you. They were practically bowing to you. You expect me to believe you're just some ordinary customer?" "Actually," the manager interjected, her face turning a deep shade of crimson, "he is just a customer, Mrs. Henderson. We made a mistake. We thought he was Mr. Peterson, the new DM, who's due to visit today." She threw me a mortified look. "Sir, I am so incredibly sorry for all this confusion." The realization dawned on Karen's face slowly, like a sunrise over a particularly stubborn mountain. Her indignant scowl wavered. "He's not?" she mumbled, her voice surprisingly deflated. She looked at me, then back at the manager. "But you were all—" "We were overzealous," the manager admitted, wringing her hands. "A little too eager to impress. Again, my deepest apologies." Karen just stood there, holding her sad lettuce, looking utterly foolish. The air suddenly felt thick with awkward silence. "Right," I said, trying to regain some semblance of normal. "Well, if you'll excuse me, I'd like to pay for my groceries now." I handed my card to Linda, who was still looking like she'd seen a ghost. Karen, bless her heart, finally deflated. "Fine," she huffed, turning on her heel and marching off towards produce, presumably to find the quinoa herself. As I walked out of ShopRite clutching my plastic bags, I couldn't help but laugh. The whole experience was utterly absurd. I mean, it was flattering for a moment, being treated like royalty. But then the Karen encounter solidified it. I am not management material. My only authority should be over my own frozen peas. Later that evening, as I recounted the tale to my bewildered wife, she just shook her head. "Well, honey," she said, "at least you know you've got that executive presence, should you ever choose to use it." I just smiled. "Nah, I think I'll stick to accounting. And maybe next time I'll just use the self-checkout. Less drama, more milk."
You're fired. The words hit me like a slap to the face, echoing a little too loudly in the otherwise mundane aisle of a big box store. Fired from what, exactly? Helping a woman find her way around? Helping her? And all while I was actively fighting off a head cold that felt like a tiny badger had taken up residence in my sinuses. Yeah, that's how my afternoon went down. Let's back up a bit, because trust me, it wasn't supposed to be like this. I'm Jace, by the way, and I just finished a grueling 200-mile round trip to pick up a new tank and drop off an old one. I was pretty proud of myself, actually, until I woke up that morning feeling like I'd licked a bus stop pole in winter, slept an extra hour, felt like death warmed over, but knew I had to get moving. After dropping my trailer, I just wanted two things: food and cold medicine. I parked my truck way out in the back 40, partially to get some extra steps in, partially because I just couldn't deal with people right then. As I was shuffling towards the entrance, I noticed a bus from an old folks' home. That's interesting, I thought, then promptly forgot about it, my only goal being to find some industrial-strength decongestant. I was meandering through the health and beauty section, squinting at labels through my fogged-up brain, when I overheard a couple of store employees whispering about a well-dressed lady who seemed lost. My initial thought was, dude, I'm too sick for this. Get your own story. But then I saw her, pacing near customer service, looking genuinely bewildered and a little frustrated, despite the sinus pressure that felt like my head was in a vice. The old Jace reflex to help kicked in. "Excuse me," I mumbled, trying not to sound as congested as I felt. "Did you need some assistance? I overheard you might be lost." The relief on her face was immediate.
She was indeed well-dressed in a smart pantsuit and carried a thick stack of papers. She thanked me profusely, and we ended up chatting for a good half hour. I patiently listened, offered suggestions, and even pointed her towards the right departments. I mean, I was trying to buy cold medicine, but hey, karma, right? Then she dropped the bomb. "Thank you so much," she said, gathering her papers. "Would you mind following me out to my car? I just need to grab something." My internal monologue went something like, "Ugh, really? I just want my damn NyQuil, but she seems so sweet and helpless." Sure, I guess. I managed fighting a cough. We started walking, her leading the way. The stack of papers she was clutching looked important, and she held them a bit precariously. In my state of mild fever and general clumsiness, I accidentally brushed her arm, and whoosh, those papers went flying, scattering across the polished linoleum like confetti. "Oh, my apologies." I bent down immediately, my head pounding with the sudden movement. "Let me get those for you." But before I could even gather the first sheet, her entire demeanor shifted. The sweetness evaporated, replaced by a sharp, almost icy tone. "Just pick them up, quickly. I don't have all day." She didn't even look at me, just stared straight ahead, tapping her foot impatiently. I blinked, momentarily stunned. Seriously? After all that? I gathered the papers, stacked them as neatly as I could, and stood up, extending them to her. "Here you go." She glanced at them, then at my hand, and actually recoiled slightly, as if I was offering her a used tissue. "Just put them down somewhere. I'm not touching those now." That was it. The tiny badger in my head started doing a full-on rave. I was sick. I was tired. I'd gone out of my way, and this woman was treating me like I was a piece of trash. My helpfulness evaporated, replaced by a surge of pure, unadulterated nope, my hand still holding her precious, now contaminated papers, slowly lowered. I walked a few paces to the nearest shelf, neatly placed the stack of papers on a display of paper towels, and turned to walk away. "Hey," she shrieked, a full-on yell that had a few other shoppers staring. "What do you think you're doing? Don't you dare walk away from me, you're fired." I actually stopped, a chuckle bubbling up despite my sore throat. "Fired?" I turned back to her, genuinely bewildered. "Lady, with all due respect, I don't even work here. I'm a customer, just like you, trying to buy some cold medicine. And frankly, you're being incredibly rude." Her mouth actually hung open. She was speechless for a split second before her face contorted in a silent rage. I didn't stick around to hear what other bizarre accusations she might hurl. I just turned on my heel, grabbed my cold medicine, paid for it, and walked out fuming. By the time I was back in my truck, the anger had overshadowed the cold, at least temporarily. I pulled out my phone and called corporate. I mean, what do you even say? Some crazy lady fired me for dropping her papers after I helped her for half an hour. To my surprise, about an hour later, I got a call back from a guy on their customer experience team. He was incredibly kind and apologized profusely. He even offered me some free stuff as an apology for the bizarre encounter. But it got even better. The next day, the VP of customer service herself called me. She explained that they had reviewed the security footage and even talked to the cashier who'd been nearby. She apologized again, refunded my entire purchase to my card, and then explained that the woman wasn't an employee, but a contracted consultant who was there for a meeting. Honestly, getting that honest answer and seeing them take it so seriously was incredibly validating. It proved that sometimes complaining does work. I shared the whole crazy saga with my friends, encouraging them to never hesitate to speak up when they've been wronged. You never know what might happen. So yeah, that's my tale. And for the record, the NyQuil worked like a charm.
This next one might just be your new favorite.